Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi everyone. Good evening. How are you all? Please let me know in the chat. Yeah, good evening, Amal. Good evening, Surinder. Ayush, hi. Okay, so I hope you all are doing great, guys, and I hope you and your family are safe in this time and you are taking utmost precaution in this time. So, yeah, so before we get into our exactly discussion, we have here Smith sir. So, we have here, so Smith sir would be your trainer for this course, like Python libraries for data science. You'll be discussing about the Python libraries which are used day to day in data science and data analysis part. So, but before I pass on the baton to him, I just want to discuss something. I just want to interact with you all, guys. So, yeah, good evening, Prachiti, good evening, Vikrant, good evening. So, can you all please put up your places, like from what all places you are watching this session right now? I'm here, I'm in Odisha, Bhubaneswar right now, and talking to you. Yeah, I see like New Delhi, Mumbai, Rajahmundry, Karnataka, Kolkata, Hyderabad, AP, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Vizag, UAE. Oh, great. Karnataka, Chandigarh, Kerala, Hyderabad. Okay, so Maharashtra is there, Odisha, Indore, Bhubaneswar. There are some people from Bhubaneswar too. That's great. USA, Kochi, Kakinada. That's great. So I guess we are seeing people from every corner of the country, as well as people are there from outside India. So that's great. Even Smith sir would be happy to see that, like, you are there, like, to attend his session and take out some good input from him and utilize it later in your learning. That's great. So yeah, so Vellore, Varangal, Tamil Nadu, Coimbatore, Devanagari. That's great. That's great. So happy to have you here, guys. All, and thank you for joining in. And I hope you would enjoy this entire 3 day course of Python libraries that are used in data science. And I hope that Smith sir would also enjoy teaching you those stuff. Okay, so I'll not talk about this data science and Python libraries much, because Smith sir is the right person for that. So he would be talking regarding that. Before we start the session, I just want to announce one or two things, guys. So this is a 3 day session, guys, and make sure you attend this whole 3 day session. Okay, so one attendance link would be shared to you for all these 3 days. So you need to fill that up every day. Why? Because if you fill the attendance for all these 3 days, then you will be eligible for an exam which we conduct after the completion of the session. And if you qualify that exam, only then you will be able to get a certificate from us. Okay, you'll be getting a Let's Upgrade certified, Let's Upgrade certificate, also in association with the ITM group of institution. Okay, and it is also like authorized by NSDC and Skill India. So that certificate you'll be getting only when you qualify the exam. And to appear for the exam, you need to be eligible. And how is that eligibility decided? When you put attendance for all these 3 days, attendance link would be shared. It's already shared here right now, but take your time, guys. Let's start the session. Let sir start with some topic, because in the same form you also have to give him feedback and regarding the training session. Okay, so it's all there in the same Google form. So that's what I had to announce, guys. So I'll not take much of your time. So it's all now your time and Smith sir's time. So yes, Smith sir. So I'll not take much of time. I'll be now in the backstage. So carry on, sir. Your students are waiting for your training.
All right. Thanks, Shubhrat. All right. So, thank you for attending
Is there
today's
another
session,
question?
guys. Hi,
Yeah,
yes.
guys, please mute yourself, because
Yes,
cause
yes.
that would cause
I have a
noise
question.
disturbance.
So, like, how do gay
All right. So, thank you for attending this session, guys. And I'll just give a brief intro to myself before starting off. My name is Mitcha, and I will be your mentor throughout the 3 day session. Okay, so here we'll be learning about Python libraries. Particularly, we'll be learning about two major Python libraries, Numpy and Pandas. Okay, these are the two libraries that we are going to learn about. So I'll just give a brief intro of myself. My name is Mitcha, and I work in my own company. It's called Ample.ai. where we are building AutoML platform. Apart from that, I also teach as a machine learning and AI instructor at 6 different companies apart from LetsUpgrade. So that was all about me. And now let us start off. Okay. So before starting off, it is important, before starting off the libraries, it is important that you know some of the basic Python concepts. Okay, so we'll be revising some basic Python concepts. So the expectation is that you already know some basic Python concepts. So what is the first concept that you should know? The first thing that you should know is something called variables. Okay, so what are variables, guys? Can you give me an answer? What are variables? So there are some basic Python concepts which you should already know before moving ahead. Okay, before we start an advanced concept called libraries. So what are variables? So Ayush says they are placeholders. That means what Ayush is saying is that a variable is a reference to a value. Just like if you have a nameplate alongside your house, your nameplate is a reference to your house. Just like that, a variable is just a reference to a value. Okay, just like your nameplate is a reference to your house, just like that, a variable is just a reference to a value. So as we are taking the example of a nameplate. So when I say a nameplate is a reference to your house. So guys, does your nameplate contain your house or is it just a reference to your house? Does your nameplate contain your house? Does it? Does it contain your house? No, right? No, it does not contain the house. A nameplate does not contain the house. Instead, it is just a reference to a house. Just like that, a variable does not contain the value. It is just a reference to that value. Just like your nameplate does not contain the house, it is just a reference to that house. Just like that, a variable is just a reference to that value. All right. And there are some rules that you have to follow in order to create the variables. I'll just write down those rules. Although the expectation is that you know these Python basics, but we'll just discuss it for just 20-30 minutes. Okay, we'll just discuss the basics so that you understand the things that are going to be taught here. So over here we are talking about variables. There are how to create a variable though. There are 5 rules that we'll see. The first rule is that the first character of a variable, okay, should only be alphabet of lowercase or an alphabet of uppercase, or it can even be underscore. Okay, so this is the first rule. So I've said we have learned about variable, that okay, a variable is just a reference to a value and it does not contain the value. But how to create that variable? There are 5 rules. First rule is that the first character of a variable should only be an alphabet of lowercase or an alphabet of uppercase, or it can even be underscore. Underscore means a symbol like this, the one that I've written within brackets. Okay, so the first character of a variable can only be an alphabet of lowercase or an alphabet of uppercase or underscore. Fine. What is the second rule? The second rule is that all the other characters, okay, all the other characters apart from the first should be an alphabet of lowercase, okay, or it can be an alphabet of uppercase, or it can be underscore, or it can even be digit or even a digit character. So what are the digit characters over here? There are 10 digit characters. So you can have any one of those 10 digit characters. There are 10 digit characters from 0 to 9. These are your digit characters. So what I have said is that we know that a variable is just a reference to a value. It does not contain the value. But how to create a variable? For that there are 5 rules. First two I have already written. Let's go ahead and let us understand the third rule. The third rule is that a variable should not contain any space. Okay, it should not contain any space or any symbolic characters okay, or any symbolic characters, the ones that I'm going to show you. So here there are many symbolic characters. I'll write few examples. For example, we have exclamation point, then we have at the rate, then we have this hash symbol, then this dollar sign, this percent sign, this caret sign, this and symbol over here, this star symbol. Okay, so variable cannot contain any space and also it cannot contain any symbolic characters. Then what is the fourth rule? The fourth rule is that a variable's name should not be the same as a keyword defined in Python. So now there are many keywords in Python, as most of you guys would know. I will just write a few of them over here. We have a keyword like for keyword, then the in keyword, okay, and etc. So we should not, my variable name should not be similar or should not be the same as a keyword defined in Python. Okay, and what is the last rule? The last rule is that a variable is case sensitive. That means a character like small a is not the same as capital A. Okay, small a is not the same as capital A. So that means a variable is case sensitive. The case matter whether it is uppercase or lowercase. That does make a difference. All right. So these are the 5 rules in order to create a variable. What are variable? They are just references to values. So what are the different types of values then? Let us see different types of values, then we'll see a coding example. So what are different types of values? So I will just over here, I will just write the types of values that are expected from you to know, okay, before we go ahead and learn about libraries. So what are the types of values that you are expected to know? First is an integer. What is an integer, guys? Anybody knows what is an integer? What is an integer? 1 second, I'll just open up the chart. Here it is. What is an integer, guys? An integer is just a number with no decimal point. As Surendra says over here, integer. What is an integer? Integer is just a number without a decimal point. Okay, it is just a number without a decimal point. All right. The second type of value is called a float. So what is a float? A float is a number that has decimal point. Okay, a float is a number that has decimal point. Then the third type of value is called a string. So a string is just a collection of alphanumeric characters. Okay, a string is just a collection, or sorry, not even alphanumeric. A string is just a collection of characters. I'll just write it over here. A string is just a collection of characters. Okay, so what are characters? We'll just see an example of that. Then the fourth type of value is called boolean. So what is a boolean? A boolean value can only be true or false. Fine. So these are the 4 types of values that you are supposed to know. Apart from that, there are 2 more that I will write over here. The fifth one is called a list. Okay, so you should know about a list. Basically, a list is just a collection of values. It is just a collection of values. Similarly, we have a tuple, okay, which is also a collection of values. What is the basic difference? We'll see. Okay, so all of these concepts that I've mentioned over here, you should be familiar with. Although we'll discuss just for a few minutes, just so that you understand the concepts that are going on. We'll just revise them. All right. So what did we start off with? We said in Python we have something called a variable. A variable is a reference to a value. It does not contain the value, but it is just a reference to a value. Now to create a variable, for that there are 5 rules that I've mentioned over here. You have to follow the 5 rules in order to create a variable. Fine. So we know that a variable is a reference to a value. It does not contain the value. Then we said that, then we came to the concept of values. We saw that different types of values that you should know. First is an integer. An integer is a number that is without a decimal point. Second is a float. A float is a number that is with a decimal point. And then I also mentioned the other types of values. Let's take an example. Let's take a short example. We'll just revise these concepts that I have mentioned over here just for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. All of these concepts, it is expected that we should know before we proceed ahead with the concept of libraries. All right, because we are going to use these concepts ahead, okay, in our lectures. All right, so over here, when I said a variable is just a reference to a value, so how to assign a reference to a variable then? How to assign a reference to a value then? How to do that? So let's see an example. Okay, what is the syntax, or what is the rule for assigning a value to a variable? What is the way, or what is the syntax of assigning a value to a variable? Okay, let's see that over here. So what is the syntax? The syntax is like this. First we'll write the variable name, then we'll write the is equal to sign, and then we'll write the value. This is the syntax that you have to follow in order to assign a value to a variable. All right, let's follow that syntax over here. So let us create a variable name. How to create it? By following these 5 rules. These are the rules to create a variable. These are the rules to create a variable. Following these rules will create a variable. Let's go ahead. So guys, I'm about to create a variable, something like ABC. Is this a valid variable name? I'm writing my variable name. Is this ABC following all the 5 rules over here that I've mentioned? Is it? One second, I'll just open up the chat. Yes, right, as Karan, Amal, everybody is saying, it is following the 5 rules. So fine, this is a valid variable then. After that, I will use the equal to sign, and to the right of equal to, I will specify the value. Suppose I have specified a value like this. So which type of a value it is? So it is a number. It is a number without a decimal point. So what is a number without a decimal point called? A number without a decimal point is called an integer. So this type over here is integer. Okay, so you can see over here when I check the type using the type function, it is called an integer. And by the way, you the other expectation is that you also know about functions and methods. Okay, so these are the expectation. We'll be discussing a little bit about them just so you understand. Okay, so these are the other things that you should know about. Both of these are nothing but reusable code. Okay, both of these are types of reusable code. So it is expected that we should know about them before we go to a concept called libraries. Fine. So over here, what I did was I used the type function. Okay. And basically what I did was I said type of ABC. So over here, I'm not checking the type of the variable, remember. A variable is a reference to the value. So this variable references which value? It references the value 90. So indirectly, I am checking the type of the value 90. And obviously it is of the type integer. Similarly, suppose I am having something else. Let's suppose I have a variable called b. Even this is a valid variable name, right? I am following the 5 rules. So this variable name is valid. Okay, let's assign a value to it, something like 78.9. So what kind of value is this, guys? 78.9. One student says it is a float. Murali and everybody is saying that it is a float. Why? Because they are saying it is a number that has a decimal point. You can see this is a number that has a decimal point. So if I check the type, it is of the type float. Similarly, let us see the third type of value, which is called a string. What is a string? It is just a collection of characters. So you might wonder, what are characters? Characters are anything that you can type on the keyboard, anything that you can type. But there is one more rule over here. Okay, a string is a collection of characters, but those characters, need to be surrounded by double quotes or single quotes. Okay, but those characters need to be surrounded by double quotes or single quotes. So here I have mentioned that a string is just a collection of characters, but those characters need to be surrounded by double quotes or single quotes. Let's go ahead. So here I am creating a variable name. Let's create a variable name C. It is a valid variable name. It is following those 5 rules that I mentioned. Then let us assign a value. Let us use the equal to sign. So I'll mention equal to the right of equal to, I'll specify a value. So I said a string is a collection of characters. Characters means anything that you can type. So just type anything in the chat. I will take something from your side. Just type anything in the chat. And anything, anything random that you want. Amal has given a text over here. Amal has written something. Let us just take it. Okay. Sampath has also written something. Sampath wrote this. Is this a collection of characters, guys? That means, is this something that we can type using the keyboard? Yes. Over here, are these a collection of characters? They are a collection of characters. They are a collection of characters. Character means anything that you can type. So is this something that you can type? Yes, we can. Okay, but the only issue is that those characters should be surrounded by what, guys? Those characters should be surrounded by, the only issue is, fine, it is a collection of characters, but those characters should be surrounded by quotes. As Surendra says over here, there's a rule mentioned that those characters need to be surrounded by double quotes or single quotes. So I'll just surround these characters that someone gave me, collection of characters, okay, that someone gave me. I'll surround it by double quotes or single quotes, anything that I like, anything as per my mood. If you ask, is there a difference between single quote or double quote? Will that make a difference? What type of quote I choose? No, not at all. So it depends upon my mood, whatever I want to use. All right. So over here, somebody gave me collection of characters. Collection of how many characters, guys? How many things has he typed? Collection of how many characters within the quotes? How many things has one student typed? Five characters. You can count over here. W is my first character. This O is my second. R is my third. L is my fourth. D is my fifth character. All right, let's go ahead and run this. We had collection of characters over here, and also they are surrounded by quotes. Since we have a collection of characters and also they are surrounded by quotes, it will be called a string. If I go ahead and check the type over here, it will be of the type string. Similarly, guys, let us have one more thing. Let us create a variable name over here called D. Okay, let us assign a value to it by using the equal to sign. I'll use the equal to sign. To the right of equal to, I'm supposed to pass the value. That is the rule. Let us pass a value. So can I say even these are characters, guys? I mean, character means anything that I can type. So can I type this also? The thing that you see to the right of is equal to. So can I call them no? Yes. So Molly says they should be in quotes. Yes. So if they now are in quotes, can I say now that they are a collection of characters? Now? Yes. Now they are a collection of characters, right? Now they are a collection of character means anything that you can write, but also after writing anything that you want, after typing anything that you want, you have to surround it by quotes. And over here, it is since we have a collection of characters and also it is surrounded by quotes, it is of the type string. Let us check the type. It is of the type string. So a string is just a collection of characters. Character means anything that you can type. Anything, literally anything that you can type using the keyboard will be called a character. It is just that that collection of character needs to be surrounded by single quotes or double quotes. For example, if I had surrounded this with single quotes, still it would have been a string only. Okay, does not matter what type of quote are surrounded with. If I check the type of this value over here, you can still see it is of the type string. All right, so we have seen three types. We have revised three types of values. Let us revise the fourth type of value. So fourth type is Boolean. Okay, Boolean value can only be true or false. Okay, Boolean value can only be true or false. I'll write one more rule over here. Okay. Also, I will write the rule. I will say that the first character of a Boolean needs to be capital. Rest all characters, okay, rest all should be small. Rest all should be small. Should be small. All right. So I've written some rule over here. We have revised the three types of values. We are revising the fourth type. So over here, this is the revision, guys. We are not going to this because there is something that is expected that you know for this course, for this 3-day course. But we are just revising. It will be better for you. Then the fourth type of value is called a Boolean. A Boolean value can only be true or false. There's a rule mentioned that also the first character of a Boolean needs to be capital. Rest should be small. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead. I will mention the rule over here. I'll just take this rule. I'll just take all of these rules, put it over here, and also the syntax for assigning a variable to a value. Fine. Let's go ahead. So now I'm talking about the fourth data type over here, Boolean. Let us create a valid variable name. Let us use something like f, and then over here we'll use f equal to what? F equal to let us create some value. So Boolean value can only be true or false. So is this a Boolean value, guys? Is this a Boolean value? Is this a Boolean value? What do you think? Murli says no. Ayush says no. Why? Why? Because Rishi says that the first character of the Boolean needs to be capital. Here, the first character of the Boolean is not capital. If I go ahead and run this, obviously it is not a Boolean value. Is it a string value? No, because it is not surrounded by quotes. Is it an integer value? Definitely not. Is this a float value? No. So Python is confused what type of value it is. Python does not recognize. So if I go ahead and run this, I will get an error. So in order to prevent that error, all I have to do is make sure that the first character of the Boolean value is capital. A Boolean value can only be true or false. Also, the first character needs to be capital. All right, and now you can see if I check the type, it will be of the type Boolean. Fine. And then, guys, let's go ahead and let us learn more. Okay. Similarly, suppose I have this Boolean value. When I said a Boolean value can only be true or false, I showed an example with a Boolean value true. Let's say an example with Boolean value false. Again, is this a valid Boolean value? No. Why? because the first character over here is not capital. If I go ahead and run this, Python will give me error. In order to prevent that error, I will just make the first character of the Boolean value capital. Let's go ahead and run this, and if I check the type of this, you will see that it is of the type Boolean. So that is the fourth type of value. All right. And now guys, let's see one more example. Now that we have covered these four types, is the revision clear guys? I'm not going into depths because we have to cover libraries in our 3 lectures. This is just the revision, just to, yes, clear? Okay. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead then. Let us discuss more about this. Let us discuss more about this. So suppose guys, I have a code like this, a equal to 1. So basically what will happen over here is the value 1 will be created. Okay, let me create it. Basically what will happen over here is the value 1 will be created, referenced by a variable a. Referenced by a variable a. Okay, the value 1 will be created, referenced by a variable a. Then guys, if you write over here a equal to 2, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen? Will this 1 be updated to 2, or what will happen? Will it be updated? Updated or not updated? Surendra says not updated. Tharun says it is updated. Oh yeah, Surendra is absolutely right. What he is saying is absolutely right. He says that it will not be updated. So what will happen over here? What will happen is another value will be created 2. Okay, another value will be created 2. And this reference that you see, this variable that you see, a, that was referencing the integer value 1. Okay, my mistake. Over here I created an incorrect value 2, right? We are having 2. Yes, so as I was saying, another value 2 will be created, and this reference that you see, a, that was this variable that you see, that was referencing a integer value 1. Now it will reference the integer value 2. Okay, now it will reference another value 2. So the reference changes, the value is not updated, it is just that the reference changes. All right, just the reference changes. So if I go ahead and if I say print a, if I say print the value referenced by the variable a, what will it print guys? What does a refer currently? What does a refer? 2. Currently a refers the value 2. So if I go ahead and run this code, if I say print the value referenced by variable a, it will print 2. So here what is happening is that the value is not getting updated. Instead the reference is shifting. Okay. All right. So can I say guys that this value over here is not changing at all? Did this value change ever? Did this value change ever over here? The one that I'm highlighting 1. Did it ever change? This one? Did it change? No, it did not change. So any value that does not change, I will call it immutable. Okay, I will call it immutable. So what are immutable values? So any value, okay, what immutable value means a value that once created, it cannot be changed. So here I gave you an example of this integer value. This was an integer value currently. Okay. So integer values are immutable types of values. That means once you create them, that's it. You cannot change them. Similarly, float is an immutable type of value. Similarly, string is an immutable type of value. Similarly, Boolean is an immutable type of value. Okay. So immutable types of values means once you create such values, you can't change them. You can't update them. Okay. You can't change them. So any value that once created can't be changed will be called immutable. So all these 4 types of values, are they all immutable? Are they all immutable? Are they all immutable? Yes, right? I've just spoken. No, it is buddy. They are immutable. Okay. All these 4 types of values that we have studied up till now, integer, float, string, boolean, all these 4 types are immutable. The 4 types that we have revised just now, they are immutable. Missed out? Okay, no issues. All right, fine. So one student was saying how to get this value 1. Okay. Suppose if there is no nameplate, okay, just like below the wing, okay, always below the wing, do we have nameplates like 603 belongs to, let's say, Santosh Kumar, 602 belongs to Surendra? Do we have nameplates or not? Below the wing, below each wing, on the ground floor, we have nameplates, right? No? We have nameplates, right? So if you do not have that, will you know which flat belongs to whom? Without that nameplate, without that reference, will you know 603 belongs to Rishi or 603 belongs or 603 belongs to Amal? No. Without that nameplate, without that reference, you would not reach that flat. Okay, we would not know that in order to reach Amal's flat, where should I go? Okay, I want to go to Amal's flat, but without that reference, I would not know. Similarly over here, do we have a reference? Do we have a variable? No, we do not have a variable. This value over here, 1 does not have a variable. So there is no way to reach it. Okay, there is no way. Without the reference, we can't reach that place. Just like without that reference to a house, you can't reach that house. Suppose if below in the ground floor, I didn't know. Okay, always we have nameplates below in the ground floor. In each wing, we have nameplate that okay, 603 belongs to this, 6025 belongs to this, 601 belongs to someone else. Without that, you would not reach that person. Okay, you would not know where to go. Similarly over here, without the reference, we can't reach that value. So can I say it is useless for me then? Is it useless for me? Yes or no? Is it useless for me, this value? If I can't use it, if I can't reach it, I can't use it. So is it useless for me? Yes, unnecessarily wasting the memory. So what will happen is any value that does not have a reference will get deleted by Python. Any value that does not have a reference will get deleted by Python. Okay, it will get deleted by Python. So two things happen, guys, when a value does not have a reference. Okay, it is not necessary that you always need to assign a variable. It is not necessary that you always need to assign a reference. So what happens? What happens when you don't have a reference? Okay, what happens when you don't have a reference? Let's see. When you don't have a reference, two things happen. First is the values. Okay, the value gets printed automatically. This is the first thing. Gets printed automatically by Jupyter Notebook. Currently, we are writing the code in Jupyter Notebook, so it will get printed automatically by Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so when a value, what happens when you don't have a reference to a value? When you don't have a reference to a value, or basically when you don't have a variable assigned to a value. Okay, reference means a variable. So what happens when you don't have a variable assigned to value? Two things will happen. First is the value will get printed automatically, and the second thing is that it will get deleted. Okay, because it is useless for me. Any value that does not have a reference, I can't reach it, so there is no way I can use it. If I can't use it, it is useless for me, so it will get deleted by Python. Okay, any value that does not have a reference, two things will happen. It will get printed automatically and it will get deleted by Python. So suppose over here we have this value 1. If I remove the reference, guys, if I remove the reference part, can I say it is a value that is without a reference? Yes. Yes, it is a value that is without a reference. So what will happen over here is that another value will be created 1, or just for you, I will create a value, let's say 3. Even this is a value that is without a reference. So what will happen? The value will be created, but it is without a reference. So two things will happen. First is it will get printed automatically. Okay, and you see that when I run it, do you see 3 got printed automatically? When it had a reference, suppose when I have a reference to a value, that value is not printed. This value had a reference, so it did not get printed. Okay, but only those values that do not have a reference, like this value over here, only they get printed automatically. And also the second thing that happens is it will get deleted later by Python. All right, so let us just revise what we have done. We have seen variables. So we saw that a variable is just a reference to a value. It does not contain the value. So how to create a variable? There are 5 rules for that. We wrote down the 5 rules. Then how to assign a value to a variable? We wrote the syntax over here. Here is the syntax in order to do that. Fine. Once we covered the concept of variable, we saw that it is not necessary to always have a variable assigned to a value. If you don't have a variable assigned to a value, two things will happen. First is it will get printed automatically. Second is it will get deleted by Python later. All right, and now the concept of variables. So we came to values. In values, we saw that there are 4. Up till now, we have revised 4 different types of values. We have not gone into depths. We have just understood we have just had an overall understanding. Since our main goal is to learn about libraries, we just had an overall understanding of these 4 types: integer, float, string, boolean. All these 4 types, guys, are they mutable or are they immutable? Mutable or immutable? Mutable means it can change. Immutable means it cannot change. So all of these are immutable. All right. All of these values are immutable. Fine. So now that we have learned about them, let's go ahead and let us learn more. Okay. So suppose over here, okay, let us remove the 2 things for now. Over here, I mean, fine, even if you know list and tuple, it will be good for you. You can just compare what it is. So just like a list is a collection of values, a tuple is a collection of values. Okay, just like that, array is also a collection of values. This is the thing that we are going to learn today, array. But before going ahead, how to create a list, right? How to create a list? If I wanted to create a list, what to do? A list is a collection of values. So how to create a list? So here, in order to create a list, okay, there are some rules that you have to follow. So basically, a list is a collection of values. A list is a collection of values. Okay, then what is the second thing? The second thing is that, okay, so a list is a collection of values. Then what is the second rule? So a list can contain any type of a value. A list can contain any type of a value. Then what is the third thing over here? Let us understand the third thing. First thing is that a list is a collection of values. Second is a list can contain any type of values. Let's see the third rule. Third rule is that if we have multiple values in a list, then they need to be separated. They need to be separated with each other by a comma. Okay. The fourth rule is that the collection of values, okay, the entire collection of values, the entire collection of values needs to be surrounded, needs to be surrounded by square or by square brackets. Okay, it needs to be surrounded by square brackets. All right, fine. So now that we have learned about a list, okay, now that we just had an overview of a list, let's go ahead. Let's see how to create it. So list is a collection of values. Give me any collection of values, guys. Also, you can give me any type of a value. So give me any valid variable types of values. Sorry, any valid types of values over here. Any valid types of values. Just give me. Murli says 5. Then 5. Then over here, if you are giving multiple, I will have to separate them with a comma. 5. Then suppose I have a string called ABC. Then I have a boolean value. Let's say something like this. Okay. So over here you can see I have a collection of values. Since I had a collection of values, I separated them with comma. Also that entire and I can have any type of value. Remember, any type of value. A list can contain any type. And also the entire collection needs to be surrounded by square brackets. So you can see I surrounded it with square brackets, and over here the value that I have just created, I can assign a reference to that, something like x. Okay, and let's go ahead, let us check the type of this value. You will see that it is of the type list. What is a tuple then? I said a tuple is also a collection of values. What is a tuple? Let's understand a tuple. Okay, let's understand a tuple. So a tuple is very similar to a list. A tuple is exactly similar to a list. Okay, it is just that in tuple, in order to create a tuple, you surround the entire collection by curved brackets. In a list, you surrounded it with square brackets. In a tuple, you surround it by curved brackets. So if the same collection of values over here, if we surround it by curved brackets, if we surround it by curved brackets, okay, let's say we surround it by curved brackets, then it will be of the type tuple. It will be of the type tuple over here. You can see it is of the type tuple. But a list is a collection of values. A tuple is a collection of values. So what is the difference then? The difference is that list is mutable. Okay, list is mutable, whereas tuple is immutable. So just like the previous four types that we studied, integer, float, string, boolean, all of these are immutable types. Just like that, tuple is also a immutable type. So out of the 6 types that we have revised, how many are mutable and how many are immutable? Out of the 6 types that we have just revised, how many are mutable and how many are immutable? How many? 5 are immutable and 1 is mutable. Okay, 5 are immutable and 1 is mutable. All right. So now that we have discussed about this, let's go ahead and let us start learning about libraries. Okay. So first, what is a library? So library contains some reusable code. So as I said earlier, the expectation is that you should know about functions and methods. Okay, this is something that you should know. By the way, both of them are piece of reusable code. But what is a function? So it is, okay, it is a reusable code that is outside of a class, and what is a method? A method is a reusable code that is inside of a class. Okay, that is the only difference. Now, what is a class? It is expected that you know that before we go ahead to libraries, because libraries is just based on that. Okay, so fine. So it is expected that you know these two pieces of reusable code. If you don't have an idea, don't worry. Still, the code will make sense. If you have an idea, it will be more better to you. Okay, if you don't have an idea, no worries. All the 3 days of lectures will make sense to you. Fine, let's go ahead. So basically, over here, function method have reusable code. So just like we can make a reusable code, some other people can also do it. So have you heard about things like scikit-learn, keras? Yes, you at least must have heard about it. So what are they? They are just a collection of reusable code. Okay, they are just a collection of reusable code. So first, if somebody had created that reusable code, they would create it in a file, or if they have multiple files, they will store it in one folder or whatever. So if they, so what they will do is they will upload the file, all the folder on some package maintenance system, on some library maintenance system. Okay, library means a collection. Basically, it is a shared piece of reusable code, a reusable code that can be used by anyone. Okay, that is shared to everyone. It is called a library. A reusable code that can be used by anyone. It is shared to everyone. It's called a library. Fine. So let's go ahead. So now we know that, okay, if we want to share our reusable code with someone, that shared piece of reusable code will be called a library. All right. So first you will have to download that file or that folder that contains the reusable code. Okay. You will have to download it in your laptop. Once you download it, okay, for example, how to download it, how to download a file or how to download a folder. Suppose somebody created a single file. Okay, how to download it? All you have to do, guys, is go to a Anaconda prompt. Go to your Anaconda prompt. Go over here. I'll just go to Anaconda prompt. How to download? The first thing that is required is I will need to download the library. Now, library means anything that contains the reusable code. So suppose if I upload my file somewhere that can be used by you, that my file will be a library for you. Suppose if I create multiple search files and I store it in a single folder, even that folder will be called a library for you, because inside that basically I contain some code that can be used by you. So library means anything, any structure that contains shared piece of reusable code. Suppose I want to download any library. Okay, then how to do it? All I will have, there are many ways. Okay, there are many ways to do that. So first, suppose I want to share my library with you. So I will upload it on a package maintenance system called pip. Once it is uploaded over there, okay, there is a site for pip. I will have to upload over there. Once it is uploaded, let's say someone uploaded. Let's say someone created a library called Numpy. Okay, and Numpy is basically a single file. It is a single file. So suppose somebody created a single file that contains some reusable piece of code. Suppose somebody did that. First, we'll have to download it in our laptop. How to download? So first, whoever created that file, okay, whoever created that file needs to upload it on pip. Once it is uploaded on that platform, then through that platform we can download it. Let's see how to do it. So we'll just write pip install numpy. Pip install numpy. Okay, we'll just write that pip install numpy. Let's go ahead and run this over here. When I go ahead and run this, what will happen is that you will see that a download process will start. In my case, it will say that a requirement is already satisfied. That means I have already downloaded NumPy library, or over here by library I mean NumPy is a single file. Even if it was a folder containing multiple files, still it will be called a library only. So I have downloaded the NumPy library. Now, luckily, okay, if you are working with Jupyter Notebook, then many of these important libraries are automatically downloaded. So libraries like NumPy, Pandas, you don't have to download them separately. But suppose if you are not working with Jupyter Notebook, okay, if you are not working with Jupyter Notebook, you are not using any IDE, okay, you are not using any IDE like Jupyter Notebook over here, then in that case, these libraries won't get automatically downloaded. So you have to download them separately. Once it is downloaded, then what to do here? Once it is downloaded, then what to do? So once it is downloaded, then how to access it? Okay. So now we'll study about how to access it. So let's see that. So once it is downloaded, then you need to access it. So let's say I want to say that I want to access the reusable code inside the NumPy library. So what will I say? I will say import and then the name of the package or the name of the the name of the folder or the name of the file, okay, that I want to use. So I will say I want to use NumPy. So I will say NumPy. Now for all the libraries that you download, if you have to use the code inside of that, you will have to first import it, then only you can use it. Okay, then only you can use it. Otherwise it won't work. So fine, I downloaded the file over here and I want to use the code inside of it. Even if you download the folders that contains multiple files, still you can access the code inside of it. Yeah, NumPy is just a single file, so no need to worry. It is a single file that contains some piece of reusable code. All right. And now what will I do? I will say import NumPy. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this. That means I want to use the code inside of NumPy. I want to use the code inside of this file. Fine. So then inside of the file, once I have said earlier that I'm going to use the code inside of the file, I will say inside of this file, there is a class called array. Okay. There is a class called array. It is expected that you know stuff about array, so we'll not waste the time. We'll just move to libraries since we have already revised enough. Okay. So there's a class called array, which helps us to create the 7th data type over here. Up till now, we have seen 6. Now we'll study about arrays. Okay, even an array is a collection of values. Even an array is a collection of values. Fine. So let us study how to create an array. Okay, let's study how to create a. We already know how to create a list. We already know how to create a tuple. Let's see how to create an array. So list is a collection of values. A tuple is a collection of values. Just like that, an array is also a collection of values. So for that, first, an array is a collection of values. So a list could contain value of any type. However, an array cannot contain value of any type. An array can only contain value. Okay, an array can only contain value of a single type only. Of a single type only. Okay, an array can only contain value of a single type only. Then we said that if we have multiple values in a list, they need to be separated with a comma. The same will apply to array too. Now, in order to create a list, you had to surround the entire collection of value with square brackets, right? In for array, you can use square or curve, any brackets of your choice. Okay, anything that you like, anything as per your mood, won't make a difference at all. Fine. So what I have said, just like a list is a collection of values, just like that, array is also a collection of values. Then I said that a list could contain any type of a value, whereas an array can only contain value of a single type. Then we said that just like in a list, if we had multiple values, they needed to be separated by a comma. The same thing will apply to arrays also. The fourth point that we had written for a list was that the entire collection of values needs to be surrounded with square brackets. For an array, you can surround it with square or curve, any kind of brackets. So tell me, what kind of brackets do you want to choose? What kind of brackets do you want to choose? Yes. So one student Praveen says over here, once it is imported, once you have announced that okay, in this file I might use it. First you have to announce it. So here I announced it. Once I announced it, I said that inside of this file there is a reusable code. So over here there is some reusable code. In my case, it is a class. There are many types of reusable code. So you just have to mention the name of that reusable code and write open brackets. Everybody knows about functions, right? Everybody knows about functions. Yes or no? No, guys. Just let me know. So that yes, no. Okay, most of the students are saying yes. Okay, fine. Because we are our goal for the 3 day session is to learn about libraries. We can't go back to create functions because function will take a whole day extra. So if we take functions, then we will not be able to cover libraries. That is the only thing. All right. So it is expected that you know what are reusable code. There are 2 types of reusable code, and if you don't, maybe in the next lecture, I'm sure you will be ready with it. Okay. There are 2 types. You can even search over them. I will just give their names. They are functions and methods. I even wrote about them earlier. Functions and methods. Fine. All right. So now that uh, we know that okay, if I want to share my reusable code, I can share it in a file, or if I contain multiple files, I can I can share it in a folder, whatever I want. Either share a file or either share a folder that contains my code. So I will have to upload it on some platform. through that platform, first I have to download. Now, luckily, if you are using something like Jupyter Notebook, most of these things, most of these libraries will automatically come downloaded. That means most of these files that contain the reusable code, or the most of these folders that contain reusable code, will automatically be downloaded. So all the libraries that we are going to use in this 3-day course will automatically be downloaded. So you don't have to worry if you are using Jupyter Notebook. Fine. So first I have to announce that, okay, I'm going to use the reusable code inside of that library. Once I announced it, then what did I do? Then I said that inside of that file, I have to use a reusable code called array. This is the code that will help me to, create the 7th data type that we are talking about, which is called array. All right. So as I said, in an array, you just have to write some collection of values. Okay. So give me any collection of values over here. Give me any collection of values, up to you. It is just that in array we cannot contain values of any type. It should only be of single type. So before you give me values, I will write one rule over here. Okay, I said that an array can only contain value of a single type. So what happens if I pass values of different types? Then what will happen? Let's see. So if we have values of different types, if we have values of different types, then what will happen? Then Python will convert it. Okay, then Python will convert it to the same type only. How will that happen? How will this type conversion happen? Let us talk about type conversion now. Okay, so we'll study type conversion. Once we have studied type conversion, once we know that, okay, how will the values get converted to different types, then we'll see in arrays how can we use that concept. Okay, so let us study about type conversion. So now we'll cover type conversion. Don't worry about arrays. Arrays will start off. Okay, arrays will see again. So up till now we have just revised the basic concepts that were expected from you before we start off with the arrays. We have just revised that. And now what we are doing is that we wrote down some points. Okay, we wrote down some points over here that, okay, first of all, in order to create the 7 data type, I will have to use a code inside of this file. So I announced it that going forward, I'll be using the code inside of this file. I just announced it. Fine. And then after I have not used the code, I have just announced it previously. Fine. Then what I have done is that in order to create an array, I have laid down some rules. I've laid down some points. And the second type is looking at tricky. What is it? I have said that an array can only contain a value of single type. If we have values of different types, then Python will convert it to the same type only. Let's see how this works. Let's see about type conversion. Okay, so I'll just give the heading type conversion, then we'll go ahead. I'll just say type conversion. Okay, let me just write the correct spelling, type conversion. All right, and now over here, suppose I'm creating the first topic that we'll see will be called integer to other types. Okay, so first we'll cover this topic, then we'll come to arrays and we'll see how this topic can be applied to arrays. Don't worry. First we'll cover this topic individually. Integer to other types. Guys, do you know this or should I explain? Like, is it okay if I explain, right? Or do you know so I do not waste my time? Should I, do you know or you do not know type conversion? If you do not know, I will waste. So you know? Acha, you know, fine, okay, fine. So no need to waste our time. Okay, you know, fine. So this is something that was expected from us. You already know, so good enough. We'll not waste the time. We'll learn more about libraries. Fine. So let's go ahead. So what I have said is that an array is a collection of values. Then I have said that an array can only contain a single type of value. If we have values of different types, then Python will convert it to the same type only. Then I have said that if we have multiple values in an array, they need to be separated by a comma, and the entire collection of values needs to be surrounded by square brackets or curved brackets. All right. So I'm going to use the code inside of this file. So I'll say inside of this file called Numpy, there is a reusable code called array. Okay, there is a reusable code called array. What type of reusable code? It is a class. Okay. So here there are different types of reusable codes. This is a class. So here I'm calling the class, which is nothing but a type of reusable code. Fine. And now over here, what did I do? I said the entire collection of values need to be surrounded by square or curved bracket. You tell me any bracket of your choice. You tell me any bracket of your choice. Square? Okay. People are saying square, so I will use square. Inside I will pass some values. Let me pass some values. Okay, let me pass some values. Let me pass something like this. Fine. So we have these values. So are all of them of the same type? We have three values in my array. Okay, there were multiple values, so I separated them with a comma. Are they of single type? No, Sumit, they are not function. Function is a separate reusable code. This array is a class, which is another type of reusable code. Just like we have functions, we have classes. Okay, so what I asked was, in the array I have three values. Are all of them the same type? You are saying no. And yes, we do not have values of same type. So Python will convert it to the same type. Let's see how will it convert. Okay, let's see how will it convert over here. So in this case, what will happen? So let's see the hierarchy of conversion. So at the bottom, we have something called Boolean. On top of that, we have float. On top of float, we have integer. On top of integer, we have string. So the rule that I wrote was that an array can only contain value of a single type. If we have values of different types, then Python will convert it to a single type only. Before we go ahead about type conversion, guys, I will just list down all the types of values that we studied, and we'll break those types of values into two parts so that this type conversion will make more sense. Okay, so we will break these values down into two parts. So I think I've already written their names. So out of the six types that we studied before, how many types are collections of values? How many types are collections of values? Two, right? Two types are collections of values. So these two types are called primitive types. Sorry, these two types are called non-primitive types. My mistake. These two types are called non-primitive types. Okay, they are called non-primitive types. That means they are values that they are a collection of something. Okay, they are a collection of something. So they will be called non-primitive types. So here I will just write them. I will just write their names. First we studied about integer, then we studied about float, then we studied about string, then we studied about boolean. After that, what did we study about? We studied about list and tuple. We just had a revision. Okay, we just had an overview of them. And out of these six types, you guys are saying only the last two are collection of values. As per the definition, only the last two are a collection of values. So they will be called your non-primitive types. Whereas the above four, okay, whereas the above four will be called primitive types. Whereas the above four will be called primitive types. So this type conversion that I have said, this type conversion concept that I have said, okay, the second point that I laid out over here, that in an array this type conversion will happen. This type conversion only applies to primitive types of values. Okay, let me write it over here. So over here I had laid down the second point that an array can only contain a single type of value. If we do not contain a single type of value, then Python will convert it to the same type. So this type conversion only applies to primitive types only. Okay, it only applies to primitive types. It does not, this type conversion will not happen for non-primitives. So for non-primitive, what will happen? We'll see an example of that too. But currently we'll work with primitive just for now. Okay, then ahead we'll see with non-primitive what will happen. All right. So over here, basically what I've done is earlier I had announced that I'm going to use the code inside of that file. Once that announced, then I'm saying inside of this file there is a reusable code. Okay, in this case the reusable code is a class. We have different types of reusable code. Currently it is a class. Fine. And then what did I do in this class? What did I do? First of all, that entire collection of values need to be surrounded by square or curved brackets. You said use square brackets, so you can see I use square brackets over here. Fine. And then inside of that, I mentioned some collection of values. Since I had multiple values, I separated them with a comma. But among the 4 points, the second point that you see over here, all the values are not of the same type. So if they are not of the same type, then they will be converted to the same type. And this type conversion only applies to primitive types. So among primitive types, this is the hierarchy. This is the hierarchy. So over here, what kind of values do we have? What kind of values do we have in my array? Can you point that out? What kind of values do we have in that array? Integer and float. Okay, integer and float. Fine. So if we have integer and float, guys, if we have integer and float, among integer and float, what comes at the top among the two? Among the two in the hierarchy. Sorry, my mistake. I am writing the hierarchy in a wrong way. My mistake. Over here, I will write the hierarchy in a correct way. Okay, now let me know. Okay, now let me know that among integers and floats, what comes at the top? Among integer and floats, float comes at the top. Okay, among integer and float comes at the top. So what will happen, guys, is that in this collection, all the values will be converted to float. We have two types of values, integer and float. In the type conversion hierarchy, float comes at the top. So all of the values over here will be converted to float. So let's see, 34 converted to float will be what, guys? 34 converted to float. One student says 34.0. Perfect. Amal says the second value 89 will be converted to 89.0. Third value is already a float, so no need to convert it. So let's go ahead and run this. Also, we'll assign a reference to this. Let's go ahead and run this and let us print the array. Do you see is the similar thing happen? 34.0. 34.0 can I also write as 34 point nothing? One and the same thing only? Yes or no? 34.0 or 34 point nothing, one and the same thing, it is one and the same thing. So you saw over here type conversion happen. Let us talk more about this type conversion. Suppose again I am assigning a reference to a array value. Okay, and we know array is a collection of values, and the entire collection needs to be surrounded by square or curved brackets, anything of my choice. Okay, anything that I like, anything as per my mood. Let us use curved brackets for now. Let us use curved brackets. Inside the curved brackets, I will pass my collection of values, and if there are multiple values, then they need to be separated by a comma. Let's go ahead and do that. If there are multiple values, they need to be separated by a comma. Okay, suppose I have something like this. Okay, now tell me over here, guys, in this array, what kind of, I mean, obviously we don't have values of same type. So what all different types of values do we have? Yes, Surendra, I will show you the hierarchy. What all different types of values do we have over here? String and float. Okay, string and float. So Surendra, this is the hierarchy, buddy. Among string and float, can you tell me what comes at the top? Among string and float? String comes at the top. Among string and float, string comes at the top. So what will happen? This first value will be converted to a string. It is already a string, so no need to convert it. The second value will be converted to a string. 90.8 converted to string will be, Varsha says it will be 90.8 surrounded by quotes. It will be 90.8 surrounded by quotes. Let's go ahead and run this. And if I show you the array over here, do we have the same thing happening? 90.8 surrounded by quotes. We have the same thing happening. What is this additional D type? Okay, what does this U5 mean? It means Unicode of 5 bytes. What is it? We'll see it. But currently we are talking about type conversion. We'll stick to it. Then slowly we'll see everything that is to be learned in the Numpy library. By the way, if anybody asks, one student is asking what is Numpy, but it is a library. Library means it is a structure that contains my reusable code that I can use. Okay, it is a structure. For example, let's suppose my file. I share a file with you. I share my coding file with you, and in that coding file there is a code that you can use. So my coding file will be a library for you. It will be a library for you. Let's say I share my file in a folder. So that entire folder will be a library for you. Okay, because in that folder there is a file. Within that file there is my code that you can use. So library means it is a structure, whether that structure could be a file or whether that structure could be a folder. Basically, a library is a structure that contains code that you can use. So if you're asking what is NumPy, NumPy is a library. So someone wrote a NumPy library. That means in this case, NumPy is a single file. So someone created a file, okay, that had some code that you can use. So NumPy is a library. All right. So let's go ahead now and let us talk more about this second part. Similarly over here, suppose if we have something like this, if we have an array, okay, if we have an array over here, wherein the values are 67, then, okay, suppose we have these values. Okay, I created an array wherein I have integer and boolean values. Among integer and boolean in the hierarchy, there's the hierarchy over here. Among integer and boolean, integer comes at the top. Okay, among integer and boolean, integer comes at the top. So you will see that all the values in this collection will be converted to integer. 67 is already an integer, so no need to convert it. True converted to integer will be what? True converted to integer, everybody is saying it will be 1, and it will be converted to 1. And you will see over here, it will be converted to 1. There is no need, right, to explain type conversion. I hope most of you guys are saying it is already known to you. That is why, okay, I did not explain that type conversion concept, because it will waste the time. Libraries will not be able to cover more, but fine. This type conversion was expectation from your side that you know what is type conversion. All right. Why 67? Why I didn't understand. Why 67 point? There is no point over here. There is no point, buddy. If you're saying why 67 point, there's no point. Where do you see point? I didn't understand it. Maybe you can write structure your comment in a different way so that I understand, how one came. Okay. So that is a part of type conversion. Let us study type conversion. Since you were saying how this type conversion works, let us study type conversion. Okay. So when we create Boolean value, remember, when we create a Boolean value, I will show you why this one comes, why this one comes. So what are Boolean values? First tell me what are Boolean values? What are Boolean values, guys? What are Boolean values? They are, a Boolean value can only be true or false. Okay. A Boolean value can only be true or false. Fine. And I will write their nicknames. Okay. The nickname of true is 1 and the nickname of false is 0. The nickname of true is 1 and the nickname of false is 0. Okay. I repeat. The nickname of true is 1 and the nickname of false is 0. Let's study about type conversion. Okay. So I'll give certain headings. We'll only see Boolean to other types since that is the concept wherein you had doubt. Integer to other types, I think it is already clear. Many people uh, gave correct answers. Then you also give me correct answers for float to other types. Okay, float to other types. Then you also gave me answer. Okay, suppose if we had to convert string to other types. Okay, that is another concept, string to other types. The last concept wherein you have doubt currently is Boolean to other types. So let us study that, Boolean to other types. Boolean to other types. Let us study this. So I will create a Boolean value over here. Let's create a Boolean value. I want to convert it to an integer. So I will use the int function for that. Let us convert it to an integer. Forget code for now, forget Python. Logically speaking, can we convert this word true to an integer number? Forget code, forget what would happen in Python. Logically speaking, can we convert this word true to an integer? Logic, yes, no, we can't do it. Okay. So what is the nickname of true? What is the nickname? We talked about the nickname of true. What is the nickname? 1. Can that 1 be converted to integer? Fine, the original word true can't. Can 1 be converted to integer? Yes. So 1 converted to integer will be, 1 is already an integer. So if we convert to an integer, it will remain the same. And you can see we get 1 over here. Similarly for float. Let's see for float. In order to convert to a float, you have to follow 2 steps. Okay. Conversion to float. You have to follow 2 steps. First is convert the value to a real number. What is the second step? The second step is to convert the value to a float. Fine. Float means a number with decimal. Float means a number with decimal. All right, let's go ahead. So when I say convert the value to a real number means any value that you can think of. Okay, I will show you the proof of real number. Real number means any value that you can think of. Let me show you the proof. It is said over here as per the official definition that real number is any number that you can think of. So this is a real number, this is a real number. Okay, all of these mentioned over here are real numbers. Fine. So real number is any number you can think of. Now what I did was I created a Boolean value. I converted it to integer. Now I want to convert the same Boolean value to a float. Let's see how to do that. For that there are 2 steps. So logically speaking, can this value true be converted to a float number? Can this value true be converted? Can this word true be converted to a float number? Forget Python. Can this word true? No, logically speaking, we can't. Okay. But what about saying its nickname? The nickname of true is 1 So can 1 be converted to a float? Let's see. So can I convert 1 to a real number? Well, 1 itself is a real number, so it will remain the same. Then let us convert that real number. Okay, let us convert that real number, which in this case is 1, to float. So 1 converted to float will be 1.0. And you will see over here, when I convert it to float using the float function, I will get 1.0. You can see I do get 1.0. Okay, similarly, let us convert true this boolean value to a string. Can I just convert this word true to a string by just surrounding with quotes? Can I just surround it with quotes and make it a string? Yes. So is there a need to go to its nickname? No, right? With the original word only if it is happening, why to go to its nickname? It's suppose I met Rishi on the road, then I will first call Rishi by his original name. Only if he does not listen, then only I will call him by his nickname. Just like that, first I will try with the original word true. Yeah, the original word true can be converted to a string by just surrounding it with quotes. And over here you will see that is exactly what will happen. I'll just surround it with quotes. That is exactly what happens over here. Okay. So is there any doubt in Boolean to other types, guys? How to convert a Boolean value to integer? How to convert it to float? How to convert it to string? Any doubt? Do let me know. No? Okay. Fine. So Boolean to other types. Jishan says, can we use PyCharm? Yes, you can use PyCharm. No issues. Over here we are using Jupyter Notebook as our IDE. You can use anything else. Clear? Okay. Fine. So this type conversion was a concept that was expected from your side, but we cleared it just so that it can be easy for you to understand the future concepts. All right. And now let us learn more. So what did we say? We said that we are making a seventh data type, which is called an array. Just like a list is a collection of values, just like that array is a collection of values. Just like a list can contain, a list could contain value of any type. However, an array cannot contain value of any type. It can only contain a value of single type. And if we try to have values of different types, then Python will convert it to same type only. And this type conversion will only apply to primitive types. Okay. So for example, over here, let's view this second point again. For example, okay, let's suppose I'm creating an array. Okay, using this class called array. Okay, which is inside this Numpy file. Using this reusable code, I'm creating my seventh data type. All right. So in order to create array, you know, array is a collection of values. Okay. Also, that entire collection needs to be surrounded by square or curved brackets, anything of your choice. Let us use square for now. Okay. Then we said that array can only contain value of a single type. If it does not, then it will be converted to same type only. But this only applies to primitive. 78 primitive. 78, is it primitive? Hi, yes, Sumit, what is this U5? It means Unicode of 5 bits. We'll talk more about that. First, we'll just cover this second rule that I had specified. Then we'll cover more about iris. Okay, one second. I think my internet might be slow. Is it slow? Are you getting disturbances? One second. I'll just change my internet. One second. Okay. I think now is it better, Amal? Now is it better? What about now? Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. So what I was asking was, array is a collection of values. Fine. That entire collection needs to be surrounded by square or curved brackets. Over here, I use square brackets. You can see in my reusable code, I pass square brackets. Then I said array can only contain value of single type. If we try to have values of different types, then Python will convert it to same type only. But this type conversion only applies to primitive types. All right. So the first value, is it a primitive type? Is it a primitive type, guys? First value over here in this collection, primitive. Yes, it is a primitive types. So what are primitive types? Over here I have mentioned integer, float, string, boolean are primitive types. This is the integer, which is a primitive type. All right. What about the second value? Primitive. Second, still primitive, right? Second value also primitive. What about the third type, guys? Is it a primitive type? The third type of value, this third value, is it primitive? No. So can I say over here type conversion will not apply? According to what I have mentioned, type conversion will not apply because I've said it will only apply only when Okay, it will only apply only when all the value are of primitive types. This conversion will only apply only when all the values are of primitive types. If they are not, if they all of them are not of primitive types, then this concept won't apply. This type conversion won't apply. Let's go ahead and run this, and you can see over here, is the type of anything changed? Is the type of any value changed? I have 3 values in my array. Was the type of any value changed? No, right? And that is exactly what we had mentioned earlier. No, it did not change. Why? Because not all of them are of primitive types. Only when all of them are of primitive types, only then this type conversion concept, this second rule that I have specified, second point that I have specified, only then it will apply. Fine. So we said that an array is a collection of values. Then in order to create an array, the entire collection of values needs to be surrounded by square brackets or curved brackets. And we also said that if we have multiple values in a correction, they need to be separated by a comma. We did that. Also, if an array can only contain a single type of value. If we have multiple types of values, it will be converted to a single type. But this type conversion will only apply when all of the values are of primitive types. All right. Any doubt in these 4 points, guys? In these 4 points, any doubts? Surendra, what this V is, buddy? It is a variable. It is a variable. It is a variable that references the array value. It is a variable that references the array value. That is why I revise variables too, because I know all of you are freshers, so you might not know. How come it's an array? Guys, are you understanding that we used a reusable code over here? Because of this reusable code, it became an array. Let's see the type over here. Let's see the type. Is it of the type array? Is it of the type array? Yes. When I check the type, did it come as of the type array? Yes or no? It is of the type array. It is a 7th data type. So what did we say? In order to create a 7th data type, you have to use a reusable code that is inside the Numpy library. So first I announced that I'm going to use the code inside of that library. Once I announced it, then I said inside of that library, okay, basically your by library, in this case Numpy is a single file. Even if it was a folder, I would still call it a library. In this case, Numpy is a file. So first I announced that I'll be using the code inside of that Numpy file. Once I announced that, okay, I'll be using the code inside of that Numpy file, then what did I do? Then after that, what did I do over here? I said inside of that file, there is a reusable code called array. Okay. And I call that reusable code over here. I call that reusable code. To that, okay, what did I have to do? I had mentioned the 4 rules over here. Following the 4 rules, you had to pass something to that reusable code. And over here, I pass this entire thing to my reusable code. Don't worry, currently it might seem complex, okay, because we have not got the basics. What I will do is, since you guys are worrying about this import thing, right? Let's cover this import thing. Okay, let's cover this. We can take 10 to 15 minutes extra to it and cover this import. Before going ahead, don't worry, everything about array will become clear. At least 4 points clear, guys. At least 4 points. And yes, what is this n-dimensional array? We'll see it all. At least 4 points. There's much more to learn. We'll see everything. Don't worry. At least 4 points. Okay. Fine. If there's any doubt within those 4 points, tell me. Also, there are much more things that will cover in array. Don't worry. We'll take it step by step. All right. And fine. Now, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this announcing thing. When I said we always have to announce, okay, we have to announce that, okay, I'm going to be using the code inside of this library. How to do that? Let's see it. So suppose just like we have a file called NumPy, just like that we have a file called math. Okay. Then how there are different ways of announcing. This is just one way. I will show you all the 4 ways. So just that announcing concept is clear. Okay, just that concept is clear. So let me do that over here. Let me do that. I will just have a math file. Okay, I'll just have a math file over here. Now this file that you download, okay, this so see by default you have all your Python resources in a particular file. Okay, you have all your Python resources in a particular file. When you download Python or when you download Jupyter Notebook, there is a file that is created in your laptop. Okay, all the contents in this file, like all the information about Python in this file, is available to you. Okay, so for example, if suppose I want to use anything related to Python, or everything that is there over here is available to me. For example, we had this type function, right? We saw earlier we had this type function. So this type function is available to me. Okay, this type function over here is available to me. Everything that is there that was created by Python developer. This type function was created by Python developer. Similarly, everything that was created by Python developer is available to me. Okay, so we have a default file. We have a default file. Okay, we have a default file, and in everything inside of this that was created by Python developer. Okay, everything that was created by Python developer will be then available to me. Okay, but by default, everything that is there in this external file, see in this default file, everything that was there, it was readily available to you. You could use everything. Okay, you could use everything directly. There was no need to announce. But if there is an external file that you just downloaded, if there is an external file and you want access to that, okay, you want access to the code inside of that external file, then we'll have to announce. There are 4 ways of announcing. We'll see all the 4 ways, don't worry. So what I was saying, that suppose I'm creating my file. Okay, what is the name of this file, guys? Currently, what is my name of the file? Let me show you the name. What is the name of the file? What is it currently? You can see at the top over here. What is it? Untitled what? What is the name? Just give me the name. What is the name of the file? You can see when I hover, I get the name of the Python file that I'm working with. Untitled 693. Okay, untitled 693. So what I'm saying is, in this file that I'm just working with, okay, untitled 693, everything will be available to you by default. Everything will be available to you by default. Okay, okay, so everything that was there in the default file, that contained everything that was created by Python developer, everything that is there in this default file will be available to you to use. However, the things that are there in this external file that you downloaded. So luckily, since you are working with Jupyter Notebook, all these important files are already downloaded for us. Okay, math, Numpy, all of them are downloaded. So we have a math file and it contains some reusable code. So let's see how to use the reusable code inside of it. So remember, it is not readily available over here. I will have to announce. There are 4 ways of announcing. Let's see what to do. So this math file contains a function called radians. Okay, this math file contains a function called radians. So let's see how to call that function over here. How to call that function called radians. In order to do that, what to do? I want to call this function called radians. So first I will have to announce that I want to use this file. So what will I do over here? Let's see the first approach. Okay, I will show you all the 4 approaches. We'll just take 10 to 15 minutes extra today, just so that this announcing thing is clear. There are total 4 approaches. It is very, very easy. You will see it. By the end, it will be very easy for you. The first approach, let's say the first one. So first I will say import numpy, or sorry, import, what is the name of the file that I want to, okay, what is the name of the file that I want to access? Okay, currently I am working in this file, the one that I will highlight in red. Okay, the one that I will highlight in red. Into this file, I want to use a code. I want to use a reusable code called radians. This reusable code is available in which file? This reusable code that I want to access is situated in which file? It is situated in math. So I will say import math. Okay, import math. Fine. So we are saying get. So can I say math is a file, right? It is a file. So can I say file and folders are nothing but locations inside my laptop? Files or folders are nothing but locations that contain something. Yes. Directory means locations. Files, folders are locations that contain something. All right. So when I say math file, it means a math location. If anybody asks you to get Bangalore location into Mumbai location, will you be able to do that? That is what I said in my code. Will you be able to do that? Will you take the Bangalore location, put it inside the Mumbai location? Possible? Is it possible to do such a thing? No, not possible. So what will you do if somebody asks you that, okay, get Bangalore location into Mumbai location? So obviously that is not possible. So what you did was you went to Google Maps. You saw that, okay, Bangalore is very big. It is not possible. If I had a very small piece of land, that would have been easy to transfer. Yeah, Bangalore is too big. I can't do that. Okay, so at least you will go to Google Maps. If suppose you don't know these two locations, you'll go to Google Maps, search for Bangalore. You will see that okay, Bangalore is very very big. I can't do this transfer location. Over here, I was saying get my math location into my current location. So suppose my current location is Mumbai. So I'm saying get Bangalore location into Mumbai. It is the same as saying get math location into my location. It is this just like you say get Bangalore into Mumbai. Just like that way over here you are saying get math location into my location. Obviously it is not possible. So you'll go to Google Maps, you will see obviously it is not possible. Bangalore is too big. But what will happen is, can I say that operation you won't be able to do, but will you at least remember the road from Bangalore to Mumbai? At least the rough road that okay, Bangalore comes below Mumbai. At least will you remember the road or not? Yes, at least we'll remember the road. So at least the road will be created. At least the road will be created over here. Obviously, this operation is not possible to get Bangalore into Mumbai, but at least the road is created. Okay. The name of the road is the same as the name of the file that it is going to. This, I'm going to which file, guys? I'm going to which file? What is the name of the file? The name of the road is the same as the name of the file that I'm going to. What is the name of the file currently? Math. So the name of the road will be math. Okay, the name of the road will be math. Fine. So here the name of the road in this case will be math. Suppose I have a reusable code called radians. By the way, do you want me to explain functions? Is it necessary? Do you want me to explain functions? Because, or is it clear to you guys? No, right? Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, let's go ahead then. So what I was asking was there was a function called radians. There was a function over here called radians. It is inside a math file. So what I did. So see, what I was saying was whenever you download Python, a default file is created. Okay, I will repeat again. I will repeat everything from scratch. Don't worry. First, what I did was when I downloaded Python, a default file was created. Everything that was there in that default file, I can use it. However, the external file that I downloaded, I can't use everything inside of that file directly. Okay, I can't use everything inside of that file directly. So for that, if I want to use the code inside of that external file, then what do I have to do? There are 4 ways in which we can use the code. For example, if I directly try to do it, if suppose without announcing, I directly try to do it. Okay, let's say that I restart my Python compiler and without announcing, I directly try to use radians. I directly try to use the radians function and I say convert, I will pass a value of 12. That means convert 12 degrees to radians. This function's job, this reusable code's job is to convert degrees to radians. Over here I said 12 degrees, so it will convert 12 degrees to radians. By the way, if you don't know what are degrees and radians, they are two different ways. Okay, degrees and radians are two different ways of measuring angle. Just like meter and centimeter are two different ways to measure length. Just like that, radians and degrees are two different ways to measure angles. Let's try to use it over here without announcing. Okay. See, as you know, over here I get error. Why? Because the code inside of that external file, I can't use it directly. There is no link. You can see there is no link in the file that I'm working with. I have highlighted in red. The file that I'm working with is untitled 619. There is no link to this external file. There is no link over here. So if there is no link, how can I use the code inside of it? So how to create a link? Let's see what to do in that case. So what I will do is something like this. Let's do it. So what is the first way? I will say import the location that I want into my current location. So over here, when I say we are dealing with files or folders, basically files or folders are nothing but locations inside my laptop. Okay, they are nothing but locations inside my laptop. So I said import the math location. Okay, import the math location, put it into my current location. Put it into my current location. Can you get one file inside another file? Possible? Can you get math file inside this file? It is not possible. It is not possible to get math file inside this file. Can you put one file inside another file? No. I mean, that means that is the code that I'm writing. Put one file inside another file. That means put one location inside another location. Obviously, it is not possible. We can't get Bangalore location into Mumbai. But at least we'll remember the road. That operation is not possible, but at least we'll remember the road. A road will be created. So a road will be created from the file that I'm working with to the math file. The name of the road will be the same as the name of the file that it is going to. This road is going to a file called math. So the road will be named as math. So in order to access this reusable code, guys, can I say go to the math road? At the end of the road, there is a reusable code called radians. And then I want to, so I will say go to the math road. At the end of the math road, there is a reusable code called radians. And then use that reusable code. Can I do that now? Is there a link? Is there a link with which I can use this? Yes, right? I can use this now. There is a link. So now what I will say, go through the math road. At the end of the math road, there is a reusable code called radians. And inside that reusable code, we have a function called, at the end of the, go through the math road, at the end of the math road, there is a reusable code called radians, and I want to use that reusable code. So I'll say exactly that. Okay, I'll say import math. Obviously, I can't get one location into another location, but at least the road will be created. By default, the name of the road will be the same as the name of the location that is going to. So over here, the name of the road will be math. Then I'll say use the math road. At the end of the math road, so I'll say dot. At the end of the math road, there's a reusable code called radians. Let us use that reusable code over here. Let's go ahead and call it. Okay. And let us pass the value 12. So I am saying convert 12 degrees to radians. I am saying convert 12 degrees to radians. Let's go ahead and run this. And does it work, guys? Does it work now? Yes, it does work. So this is one way in which you can use a code which is inside the file that you downloaded. This is one way in which you can use the code inside of an external file. Is this first way clear? Is this first way clear? Did it make sense? First way, just the first way, guys. Did it make sense? Yes. All right. Let's see the second way. Okay. Or should we see it tomorrow then? Or do you have capacity to learn more? Feeling somewhat difficult? I know. See, this library is advanced. If I had time to cover everything, you would have understood what is functions, what is a reusable code. But over here we are starting with libraries, which is the advanced concept. That is why I said earlier that there's something that I expected from your side. I know it will be a little difficult. I'll ask the company if I can explain reusable code. Okay, I'll see what can be done. Yes, I was asking whether should we do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, okay, fine, no issues. All right, fine. We'll see it tomorrow then. No issues. We'll start this concept again tomorrow. Okay, I will take it a bit slow. I know this is the first time you are seeing this. If I had time to complete the basic concepts, this would have been more clear to you. Okay, but fine, we'll see it tomorrow. So that is it for today, guys. What we'll do is the notes will be shared to you. Okay, the notes will be shared to you by the company. So yeah, that is it from my side. Tomorrow we'll meet at the same time. Okay, and we'll take it more slowly. Don't worry if today something didn't make sense. The only thing, okay, just to revise, were these six types, was the concept of variable clear, and were the six types of values clear? Was that clear? Yes. Okay. Then were the 4 points about arrays clear? Just the 4 points. Obviously, there is much more. 4 points. Okay. Fine. That then now I think the only thing that is not clear to you is what is a reusable code. So I think when I said there are different types of reusable code, functions, classes, and all of that, that is not clear to you. Okay, we'll see if we can spend our time on that. And the second thing that I think might not be clear is this library thing, that we have to always announce that I'm going to use the code inside of that library. So there are 4 ways. We'll see those 4 ways. Right? Don't worry. So tomorrow we'll see those 4 ways. We cover more about arrays. So arrays concept will be done tomorrow. Then day after tomorrow we'll see our new data type. So tomorrow the data type, the 7th data type that we're making is an array. It is made using the Numpy library. The 8th data type that we'll see will be made using some other library. We'll see how to do. Fine. So I think the only concept that might not be clear to you is reusable code and this library. We'll see it. So thanks for attending, guys. That was it for today. Okay. And Acha, you are in my innovative batch. Acha, that is why I recognize your name. Acha, you are from the AI batch. Fine. So thank you guys for attending. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.